I'm a big fan of your films, and
Oh,
really,
thank
really
you.
glad to meet you, sir. All right, so
Thank you.
let's start with a humorous question, right? I've
Yeah,
seen
yeah,
all your work, so you've done trains, you've done planes, you've
yeah.
done automobiles. Was it a logical conclusion that you do an action thriller in the airport?
Um, yeah, I don't know if it's a conclusion, but definitely it's a logical step. Um, yeah, I obviously get to read a lot of scripts that are around that take place in one location or majority in one location. And I love it. I don't think I'm ever going to retire from that subgenre of one location, one location movies. I just like um, making the audience very aware, very comfortable, very knowledgeable of the environment. So we could see when, the walls are closing in, we can feel and learn a new world, when I did, as you say, nonstop or a commuter, like I didn't know anything about commuter trains in New York. I didn't know much about airplanes and marshals and whatnot, and I certainly didn't know much about the TSA, other than it's probably like the time during travel that you're more uncomfortable, right? So I obviously had to do a movie where I shot that part of the travel for like months, But I I enjoy it, So I think that I'll continue to do that for a while.
Well, you do a hell
Yeah.
of a job, and I'll keep watching. All right, so I'm going to ask three questions about your superb cast individually, right? But
Sure. Yeah.
before I get to that point, when you're working with someone like Liam Neeson, who's an action master and one of the greatest actors, of our
Yeah.
day, when people work with you, even great actors like Taron and Danielle and Jason, are there
Yeah.
any nerves on their end that they're going to be compared to Liam because you're so known for working with Liam?
Um, I don't know, not nerves. I think that um every movie is different, and I think that the because I have done movies that are in the same space and I've worked a lot with one actor, I think the question is always, and not just from the cast, but from everybody else and from myself, like, how is this movie going to be different? Why, why is this movie, why does it have Taron and not Liam, right? And I think, it's that, um, and and for me, like, you know, finding a new angle on how to how to bring a new type of pressure to the audience, So when you have a character who, like Ethan, who doesn't love his job, but doesn't hate it, he's just not passionate about it. He's about to be a father. He is unsure. He hasn't been tested before, Um, that's something that a lot of young people can relate. And to have this whole good guy versus bad guy plot test this character is something that I haven't done. So I wanted to do that, and that's where the airport is an interesting premise because uh, the character is asked to be passive. His job is to watch bags go by. He's not an air marshal where he's asked to be active, and I think that young people can relate to being passive and having the life go by. Other people are having fun, other people are doing things and they're not, they're stuck. And so that's why, that's where a character like, or an actor like Taron in this case, fits better than Liam if Liam was watching the bags going by, if you understand what I'm saying, right? Because it relates to what he's doing. So it is, they're different movies entirely. So once that is out of the way, that it's, like everything starts to make sense. And I think that um, it's but it both have in common in the sense that we're talking about normal people generally, right? Even though Liam has um, a great track record in his movies, in my movies, he's always played sort of an ordinary character, even if he was Air Marshal, he was sort of ordinary, and in the commuter, he was ordinary. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think in Ethan is also an ordinary character in extraordinary circumstances, which is something that I keep relating to and putting the audience in the shoes. Like he doesn't have any powers. and the movie's going to test, you know, what he's made of, you know. So
Bravo, great answer. So, I gotta say, Jason Bateman is well loved for his
mhm.
comedy, and he's a warm guy.
Yeah,
He is such a spectacularly diabolical villain, and so cold and
yeah.
merciless. I think that fans are going to be really blown away by this
Hmm.
portrayal. So, when you were casting him, was he really enjoying playing like a Gaines type that audiences are really going to be surprised to see him as the bad guy?
Yeah, I think so. I think that that's where he saw the opportunity to, because in the script that character was really was like a blank, it was a blank canvas in a way. You just heard the voice, you barely see him, right? So, uh, it had really good dialogue, that we had developed and worked with, but Jason has obviously he's incredibly intelligent and can go both. He can snap at a second, be forceful, dramatic, or he can just be the more regular guy. He could be sitting next to you in the plane and you would never know. Um, and and that's what we needed. And he had a lot of fun by turning from one to the other. And I think that these movies where you have a character with the bad guy in the ear, which is like a subgenre of its own, it really needs that actor that can really get in your head. And Jason, can do that. He's the nicest guy, but you know, that he has this great logic to things that if used in this case for this character, he can explain why he's going to do what he's about to do, and you're almost thinking, well, that makes sense, right? Instead of like some concoction that is based on something else, like the way that he explains it, like you understand it. So we needed that, and he did amazing, you know.
He was incredible. I got to say he really
Hmm.
surprised me in this role. All right, so moving on to
Hmm.
Taron. So obviously, there's a lot of physical action where he gets involved in the game and has to deal with the bad guys. But
Hmm.
some of the best scenes in your film, some of the most tense scenes, are him sitting staring at a
Uh-huh.
monitor while Jason is in his ear. And
Yeah.
sometimes I know as a filmmaker, you don't want to be playing, submarine warfare where you're just having someone look at a screen. So talk about establishing tension in those scenes which are really based on Taron's reactions and facial expressions.
Yeah, but it's I mean, we Taron is like a computer. I mean, he can process all of that. Like some of those takes where he's talking for 5 minutes and he's reacting to the left, to the right, here, there, to everything. He did from beginning to end over and over again in different coverage. Uh, he knew every little nuance and every little mark. He can process that, and it was amazing. So for me, it was a gift as a filmmaker because he is so specific that in a movie like this, when you are sitting in a chair, you need to be very specific because every moment that, every twitch of his arm where he's moving a bag or he's looking at a possible suspect or turning around, like that's all timed and designed. So we had some rehearsal time where we prepared it and whatnot, and then he just got in the zone and did it, and it was really amazing. So he was able throughout the entire movie to do that consistently. He was very, very consistent. Had it all in his head, all in his head, like his whole journey of, how he would get, you know, worried, then stressed, then panic, but with knowing people are watching, he played a lot of what he was feeling and how he wanted the other people around him to see him. It was like it's really, really incredible. Um, I mean, he's played all kinds of roles, and for me, seeing Taron as just an average guy, there's nothing average about Taron. I mean, he's good looking, he's super smart, he's super talented, but he just came and just embodied this very normal guy, and it was very, I don't know, it's just I think he also enjoyed playing that, but it was good. It was very, very cool.
I think those scenes are pivotal to the tension, and you guys ace it. So congrats to that, right? So let's
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
Danielle. because I've also been
Yeah.
a fan of her, and she's such a versatile
Yeah.
actress, right? And in my opinion, she's the toughest badass in the film. I mean, she's great. I mean,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
car crash scene specifically was so incredible. So a twofold question for her. Number one, talk about filming her in that scene where she's with the other agent where the car is flipping over. That's an
Yeah.
incredible scene. And number
Yeah.
two, I just read online that you've got her cast again in another film called The Woman in the
Yeah.
Yard.
Woman in
You're
the
working with
Yard.
her again.
Yes.
What's up with that?
Yeah. Well, we finished that movie already. We did it. We just did it. Uh, so she's incredible, and fell in love with her like as a person, as an actor. The moment I met her, like on a Zoom like this, I mean, it was like she just had this quiet intensity, and 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 I was so thankful that she, would come and do this role that again, you know, it's proposes it's propulsive to the movie because it gives information to the audience. It feels like the clock is ticking, but she's very separate from every other character. So it's a very lonely experience for her to like be on this other movie essentially, and then finally join at the end and and support basically what the main character is going to go through, and it's full of so she did obviously incredible every time you just put the camera there's just so many nuances that even with some of the normal exposition that we need to give the audience the normal information. I mean, she was so incredible. And I think that one of the reasons why she wanted to do the movie is to play that tough character and to have uh, that scene in the car, which that's the way that it was written. The scene in the car was written as a one shot thing, and she trained for it, and she did it. It's all in one shot, So it was one of the last few things that she did. I think on pretty much the last day, if not the second to last day. And she did it. I think it took like 8 takes, and she just did it all in one shot.
So, I mean, do you have the car in a gimbal or is the camera spinning? How do you achieve that effect where they're flipping in the car when she's like fighting the dude at the same time?
Yeah, no, the car is in a gimbal, the camera's in a computer thing. It's all very rehearsed, and yeah, you do it, and then yeah, the car turns. Yeah,
That's so awesome.
it's, yeah.
All right.
I mean, yeah, yeah,
I thought
yeah,
it was very cool looking. All right,
yeah.
so she's also starring in The Woman in the Yard. Can you tell us what that film's about?
I cannot tell you what it's about, but I can tell you that it's very different. Um, and she was attached to that project before I was. So she was attached to that project, and because we did carry on, she is the one that brought me to that project after, and it's a very different movie, and that's all I could say.
Fair
Tonally and
enough.
the character and the thing, it's and it's is so where she's the lead and where I was able to have more fun with in other ways. So yeah, we had a great experience on that one as well. But
So
you'll see it soon.
I can't wait. Everything she does
Yeah,
is great. I've seen all of her
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
So one of the
yeah,
things that I think is really important in this film, outside of the action element, and it's kind of like, in the log line as well, where people in airport can be such d heads. It's like, we see the airport travelers treating the TSA people like garbage,
yeah.
yelling
Hmm.
at them and screaming at them, and that's
Yeah,
horrible. And so I wanted
horrible.
to
Uh-huh.
know. When you were working with the TSA, what was that experience with them? Were they happy to get their side of the story told?
Well, I didn't work directly with the TSA. We had TSA advisors and people that had been at the TSA, but um, it was it certainly when you get into the deep of what they do, you gain a lot of respect. And when you see what they have to deal with, because I think that I would say that the harder job is not looking at the bags, but the hardest job is dealing with the people. And that is uh, very hard and very, very thankless. And so I definitely wanted to paint a picture of the group of people, like unsung heroes, that uh, for that they're all, you know. they're all very worthy, and obviously their job is monumental and instrumental to the safety of all of us, you know. Um, so yeah, I wanted to create a little family of sorts, you know, and that's why we show the other side of it. We show how they're treated and whatnot, but you know, they're really I think they deserve more credit than they get for sure.
It's great to see them, portrayed as the heroes because we've all
Yeah,
seen like them treated so horribly at the airports. All right, so
yeah.
nuts
Yeah.
nuts and bolts filming. I'm so curious because I assume a lot of the TSA stuff was done on sets in a studio, but were you ever
Mm.
really able to go into like LAX or an airport and like shoot some good
Yeah.
exteriors and get like permission to do that? Talk about that.
Yeah. No, we shot in an airport. We shot, there was the New Orleans had an old airport or has. Basically, they built the new one in front of it. So we used the old airport of New Orleans that probably it's been abandoned or it's basically used for some private flights right now and from you actually some like diplomats and whatnot. But it's functioning because it shares the runway with the real airport. And we just made it look like LAX, and we spent a couple of months there. We didn't have access to the secret like places, like the real behind the scenes of TSA or the 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 back sorting, which is very secret technology. So we had to kind of make that up a little bit because we couldn't even get pictures of it because it's very secret. But then at LAX, we had complete access of the surroundings of LAX within reason, as long as we were not disturbing passengers to do plates and visual effects and do helicopter shots and shooting. I went onto the runways of LAX to shoot actual with cameras, shooting planes landing, planes taking off. I was in a helicopter at LAX to shoot all of those shots that you see. So we had complete collaboration on that. So yeah, no, it was, I mean, we couldn't have done it any other way. An airport is such a specific place that, you know, you cannot make it up. And it's so big and it's full of people and, you know, and now that they're changing all the X-ray machines as you've seen, you know, but when we shot it, they were very new. We were like, what are we doing? I think they were changing the good old gray machine is not going to exist in when the movie comes out. They're all going to be these big white scanners. And thankfully, that's what we did. And now when the movie coming out, we have all the big white scanners, you know.
All right, so they're giving me the wrap notice, but let me sneak one more thing real quick in.
Yeah,
So I'm reading that you're doing the Cliffhanger reboot. Can you
yeah,
tell us
yeah.
anything about that? Get our audience excited about that?
No, no, it's a hard shoot, you know. But no, we're having a lot of fun with it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, it's great to meet you. I'm a fan of all your films, and once again, you made a great movie. Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you so much.